Tucker Carlson recently was in Israel, and I believe he actually made the comment that he was, I think it may say in here. So this is a post from Ollie London. If you're not familiar with Ollie London, he's, I don't know, he does I think he does some good reporting. He's kind of strange with some things. He actually had surgery to make himself look more Korean because he felt like, but I mean, I believe he would say, obviously, he's not Korean. He just wanted to look more that way, so he did it. But I don't know, that doesn't matter so much for the story. But the original post or the original comment from Tucker, where is it? It's kind of maybe kind of broken up in here. But here's one part. He said that men who identified themselves as airport security took our passports, hauled our executive producer into a side room, and then demanded to know what we spoke to Ambassador Huckabee about. I believe, I don't have the full post up here in front of me, but I believe Tucker Carlson said that they drug him out. The implication was this was a very, very not great interaction for Tucker Carlson. He was being manhandled. He was being abused. And then this video surfaces. This is the security footage of him at the airport. We don't need the sound for it, I don't think. But you can see here, Tucker Carlson, he is getting a picture with the airport security guy there, and they're being very, very cordial, very friendly, walking around. And now he's showing where, looks like he's showing where he needs to go. He's following the dude, but it is very obvious he is not being detained. He is not being drugged anywhere. He's not being forced anywhere. So why am I even bringing this up? Because as I do this table talk videos that we're doing, they're going to be more casual conversation, stuff that I wouldn't maybe normally cover. It's not really so much biblical teaching. It's not really going over doctrine, but I do want to tie it back to something biblically. So what are we doing here? This whole idea of being a Christian, and the reason I made my initial video, I was specifically talking about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and the conspiracy theories that they are pushing, and I think very clearly lying, especially Candace, about some things that are going on, being deceitful and how they word things. So as a Christian, this is wrong. As just a person, this is wrong. But as someone who is claiming to be a Christian, this is wrong. You are intentionally trying to deceive people just to get clicks, get eyeballs. And I think this is a problem with some people that go down these type of paths where you have some type of a following, or where you have how influence of some kind, or things of that nature. I think this is why we see in Scripture that, I mean, we're told that we should aspire to live a quiet life. That doesn't mean that people who are in the public eye are necessarily wrong, but I do think there's something to be said about, if you're claiming to be a Christian and you're doing these things, especially when it comes out like publicly, you were lying about something. I think that very much gets understated, the seriousness of that. As a Christian, intentionally deceiving people for personal gain, like that's bad. That's really, really bad. This one is a little bit more political. I don't know if you've seen anything really about it, or if you want to chime in either on this or some of the stuff that um, from the past, either that you've seen him or we'll throw Candace in there too because she's, yeah. I don't know if you have anything you want to chime in on that. I know we've had a lot of discussions about it in,
Yeah,
in private conversations, but yeah.
yeah. So I will just kind of bounce off that, and after seeing that video, and I would call that very strong evidence that what he was saying was not true at all. Um, I really, 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 and this might be a strong word to use to describe it, I guess, but I consider that to be just really evil, in my opinion, because especially when it comes to you proclaiming to be a Christian, um, but then yet you are making this blatant stuff up, um, and for your own political gain. Um, and that, in my opinion, that's really evil. And it's not cool to do. Um, but you can call yourself a Christian, but at the end of the day, um, are you a Christ follower? Because in my opinion, those two things are very different, in my opinion. Because I think that Christian is kind of a broad term today, to where they believe in a God, or they believe that Jesus did exist, but they don't have a personal relationship with him. Um, but it's really disappointing because I like Tucker Carlson. I like him. Um, you know, Candace Owens is another story. I think she's crazy. I think she's out there. I think that she is just looking for attention. Um, and I definitely think things got a lot worse when after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I think she really went off the deep end after that. But even before that too, um, I watched a couple of videos of her just in passing, and this is why Christians really should have discernment and not just take everything of face value and be like, oh, well, this person said this on my phone, so it's got to be true. That is not the case. Um, we should really be leery and be slow uh, to um, our understanding, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that's what I have to say about the situation. I'm not really pleased to see that because I'm really disappointed because I expected more out of Tucker. I do.
Yeah, I used to be a pretty big Tucker fan. Um, I still followed him some. Like I
Yeah,
actually had a subscription to um, Fox Nation. I had a subscription to Fox Nation as soon as they started that up, and it was in large part due to Tucker Carlson. And then when they gave him the can, I canceled my subscription, and I told them the reason that I canceled it was because Tucker Carlson was gone, and I didn't feel like that was a good move on their part, especially under the circumstances. But
yeah,
um, I followed him for a little bit afterwards, and I feel like it's gotten very unhinged. And again, talking about the conspiracies and stuff like that, I'm not even necessarily like racking on conspiracy theories like overall. I actually like listening to conspiracy theories. They get my attention. I like hearing them through. Especially when I hear one and I think it sounds like it may have some truth to it. If you're able to dig into it, stuff like that, and actually find that it's true, that's, I think, a really cool thing to do. But I think and we've routed Candace. I'll bring her up again. They have both been ones who will take something that they hear. Candace will completely fabricate stuff out of nothing. But I think Tucker will take things and just run with it without giving it the proper scrutiny that he should, especially as a personality or a journalist type figure. I know he's not necessarily a journalist. He's not writing pieces, but he's doing documentary type stuff. He's interviewing people, and that's another issue. And this is kind of related. I was going through trying to find his initial post, but I could not find it. I don't think he deleted it because I saw some people saying that he's actually doubled down on his statements, but I can't find his initial post. But another issue that I think we've seen with him is who he is choosing to associate with and the ways that he is choosing to associate with them. So there was an individual a while back. His name is Nick Fuentes. He is a generally speaking, he is a terrible person. He claims to be a Christian. I think he is actually claiming to be he's Catholic. But I think most Catholics would actually say that no, he is not a Catholic. But he is just a generally terrible person. I've heard several things that he's said. I've heard clips of him, and people they sound really, really bad. I thought like there's no way that this can be just like out of context. This is just really bad. And then I've heard people say like, well, those are just clips you need to actually listen to. And so I went and listened to some full episodes of his, and it is no different. It's still terrible, absolutely terrible. There are some things I think he gets a bad rap for, but I think there's a lot of things that he earns that bad rap for. And Tucker Carlson had him on his show. And Tucker Carlson can have whoever he wants on his podcast. I don't care. He could have the Grand Wizard of the KKK on his podcast. I literally do not care. I don't watch Tucker Carlson. The point that I have issue with is when he's claiming to be a Christian and he has someone on who is known for making these wild claims and saying terrible stuff, and you don't push back on it at all. Like at all. It was the softest interview I think I've ever seen Tucker Carlson do. He was harder on Ted Cruz when he interviewed him than he was on Nick Fuentes. And I'm not like a super huge Ted Cruz guy. I have some issues with Ted Cruz. But like I don't just like I'm trying to think of things that I can describe. Are you familiar with Nick Fuentes?
I am not fully familiar, so I haven't seen like old videos, but I've seen clips. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, so I was to give an idea. I'm trying to think of something that I can say that I have heard him say, but everything that I can think of, I can't say because of YouTube's terms of service. I would get in trouble for repeating him on here, or I could get in trouble for repeating him on here. And so that should give you an idea of specifically what it is like. I would say if you're curious, go check him out. I don't think if you at all, I think are a Christian, I think you would struggle listening to him. I think if you don't struggle listening to him, or you find yourself going along with him, I think you really need to reevaluate where your stance is, because there's some things that he says I don't think you can not stand against as a Christian.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What do you? Anything else you want to add to that? I know that one's don't have as much to go along with that one, but
not necessarily. I mean, you kind of mention like on conspiracy theories as well. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with those. It's just um, I would just be careful that you don't base your conspiracy theories and take them as hardcore facts, and then base your total view on excuse me, on essentially sinking sand. Like, just because it's a conspiracy theory, it's not facts. In my opinion, every conspiracy theory has some facts, but that's what makes the greatest stories as well. You get some facts, but then like they can be kind of stretched, so, or some of them are just way out there, but then you have like these little microscopic facts that like, oh yeah, he died or someone died at this time at this date. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, but the whole other theory is wrong. It's just kind of one of those things to where you cannot base your life on those things.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on that.
So, and just as an example, you can have, like, I've already talked about, the random virus that came from nowhere that we then suddenly found out where it came from. That was a conspiracy
Yeah,
theory. Got proven true.
yeah,
There's another one I really like, and this is an example I use when I talk about this. I am a history buff, specifically World War II time period, Civil War. More recently, kind of the Cold War a little bit, but I've always, always, always been fascinated with the World War II time period, and not just the battles and stuff like that, but even looking at like the lead up to it, the politics that led to World War II happening, and how it's really kind of a continuation for World War One, stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed this stuff. I saw a documentary series on the History Channel, and I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. There's no way this is true. But I wanted to watch it because I thought it'd be entertaining. It's called Hunting Hitler. The whole premise was Hitler didn't actually die in the bunker in Germany at the end of World War II. That's the premise. And I go into it thinking, no, like there is no way. This is settled. This is done. They brought evidence, and I am fully convinced, 100% convinced. I don't know exactly what happened. I do have a very strong idea of where he ended up. But I can say very confidently Hitler did not die in a bunker at the end of World War II. I believe he got out, and I believe his plan was to get to Argentina and to start up a third Reich from Argentina and try to attack the U.S. actually from there. There's actually quite a bit of evidence. If anyone has not watched that, I highly suggest, especially if you like history, check it out. You can watch, I think you can watch the entire thing for free still on YouTube. Just search like Hunting Hitler, History Channel. That might be it, or even Hunting Hitler Season 1, Episode 1. It's only got like 3 seasons, but it's absolutely like mind blowing, the stuff that they do and how they investigate it, the stuff that they find. It's just absolutely nuts. Now, another example of one that's maybe not as substantiated, that does not have really evidence, and I will let you can refrain from answering this if you
okay,
choose to, because I didn't bring this up to you
okay.
beforehand, and I don't want to
Well,
put
that's all
you in
right.
the doghouse. But I will say there was one point in time, I don't know how much she actually bought into it, but I believe uh, one of my siblings, and anyone that doesn't know me knows that that's definitely giving it away because I have one sister and she is married to Luke. But she kind of started to believe a flat Earth at one
Yeah,
point in time, or at least she was giving it some credence. I'll say
yeah, yeah,
that is one that I think maybe sounds plausible, until you scratch away at all, and then you're like, oh, no, this isn't true, and that's it. But I had to, since we were
Yeah.
talking about conspiracy theories, that randomly popped in my head, and I had to bring that one up.
Well, I'm so glad that you did bring it up because Alyssa and I have had some very late night, very long conversations, and uh, I am still not convinced that I disagree with the whole flat Earth theory. Um, she is very convinced.
Wait,
She has got
she's a flat earther,
she
like full on flat earther.
she she is a full-on flat earther
Oh
now.
Lord.
And I know. I'm trying my best, brother. I am. But she is she's fully convinced. She even brought up scripture about like the firmament and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from with that, but that's a bit of a stretch.
I'll
Um,
uh I'll send you a video when we're done here. Mike Winger actually has a video where he goes over the scriptures that people use to support a flat
yeah,
Earth and completely shatters it. So I'll send
yeah,
you once we
because
get done here. I'll send you that video.
in my opinion, there's enough evidence to conclude that the Earth is definitely not flat. That is from my personal opinion. I understand that some people probably disagree with me. That's fine. That's fine. You can disagree with me and have your own theory. That's fine. But I think I've seen enough evidence to where it's just like yeah, it's not flat. But I will mention to you um, the Finding Adolf Hitler documentary series. I thought I remember sitting down with my dad. He started watching. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Because he's a big conspiracy theorist, Matt. I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? And I sat down and watched it with him. I'm like, wow, that actually kind of makes sense. I'm like, wow, I was actually like genuinely surprised. So if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to watch it. With just go in with it with an open mind and just watch it. And I think that they have some pretty good evidence to support their theory with this.
Yeah,
And I was truly amazed. I think it's one of those documentary series that at the end of it, I was just like, okay, I cannot believe that now. But because
yeah.
most of them I'm very skeptical about, I'm just like, yeah, right, okay, like this is all your evidence is all like one sided. Now they had some pretty solid stuff in that documentary. So I highly recommend it.
That's
I kind of
I
go on to
remember
it.
with it, and not to I don't want to give too much away. Um, I will say that the point for me that I like it was like a switch flipped in my mind, in my thinking about this specifically with Hitler. Up to this point, I was thinking like, no, like they're wasting their time. Like this is interesting. I like seeing the history stuff. I like seeing the World War II stuff, but they are 100% wasting their time. Then they get to where they run a DNA test on because the Soviets have Hitler's skull, quote unquote Hitler's skull, because the Soviets got into Berlin. They are the ones that got Hitler's body, supposedly, and they have Hitler's skull on display in a museum, I believe. And um, they've never publicized any tests or anything like that. And we were able to get I think a tooth or a tooth fragment, and they actually did a test on it. Now this wasn't a definitive where it says, "Hey, this is this person," but it can give you some basics like the person's age, their sex, there might be some other stuff too. I don't remember, but they ran that test and it came back as like a late 20s, early 30s female. So
Yeah, and you can't argue with that evidence. You really can't.
either
There's
either Hitler was like the first trans, or I'm just kidding, he wasn't. Um, yeah, so when that happened, that like they said that, I remember watching the episode, and like for me, it was like, oh shoot, like it's wide open now. Like I don't know what happened, but I know it wasn't that. Um, but yeah,
I think they even mentioned that in a documentary series too that the people who supposedly carried out the body were not even allowed to look at the face. They covered up someone had covered up the body. You weren't allowed to look at it. Period.
Yep.
And in my opinion, after seeing this documentary series, they needed closure because they knew that they had won, but they just needed closure. I don't know. I don't know. But after watching that, I gotta admit, I did stare at the wall for a couple hours, really, really thinking hard about it. And I'm just like, did we get it wrong? You know, it's very possible. It's very
Yeah.
possible after seeing that. So you should highly recommend watching.